Rob LoCascio, thank you for joining the AI Outcomes podcast. You are founder and CEO of URAI. You've been in the AI world for a long time. Rob, give everybody a bit of an intro, please.
Yeah, so previously starting URAI, which I started 2 years ago, actually yesterday, I ran a company for 28 years called LivePerson, and I invented when you chat on websites for customer care. That was in 1997. So I invented this chat on web, and then took the company public in 2000, and then grew it to being a leading conversational AI company, about 3,000 employees, a little over $500 million in revenues. We're listed on NASDAQ for 22 years. And funny enough, in February of 2022, Fast Company put out the top 10 AI companies, and we were number one, and OpenAI was number two, because we had $500 million in revenues at the time. We were running all the contact centers, the technology stack for all these large telcos and banks, and we had automated about 60% of 1 billion conversations at that time. And so, I was deep into it, and but I decided to leave 3 years ago to pursue things beyond the chatbot and enterprise and customer care, because I had a different vision, and I didn't feel like I could get there doing what I was doing, which was really SaaS enterprise selling.
Sure.
That was my life. And I was like, this is just not going to be the future, but I'm stuck in it. So I need to get out. So that's what I did. I broke out of the SaaS jail. So
Yeah. You kind of get stuck in those giant. They're not just giant deals; they're partnerships, aren't they, with customers? And you get so involved in them, and they're difficult, they're tough to deliver. But yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean about the need to break out. So when you did break out, kind of what was the kind of road to breaking out, and then what have you experienced? Kind of some of the big macro kind of changes as a founder, and then how did that drive your perspective around what you wanted to do with kind of generative AI technologies?
Yeah, I mean, first, like, my framework for looking at the world has always been a little contrarian. Like, when voice technology in the contact center, that was it. I was always about, I had this big slogan, kill voice, and I wanted to get rid of voice. And I talked about how it wasted a lot of our time, and we were on hold and all that. So I took this very contrarian view to the contact center. And so when I looked at the world of AI, and I've been so deep into it, I started to think of like the alternative, because what we've been fed is this perspective that there are large language models that have aggregated our knowledge, by the way, without our consent. Like, it took our knowledge off the internet and messaging channels and podcasts and things like this, books, videos, and the concept is that there's this generally giant knowledge that is now owned by a few companies that own foundation models, like OpenAI and Claude and Anthropic and others. And there'll be like giant data centers, which cost tens of billions of dollars to build. And then beyond that is now energy consumption, which is nuclear power and things we need for these GPUs to be in these large data centers. And that to me struck me as being tremendously non-entrepreneurial, which is that, and you've been through this, the revolution of technology is an entrepreneurial endeavor. It's small companies that have big visions that go and execute on those visions and bring them to life. In this world, it's a continuation of the people of Googles and Amazons. And yes, there are the OpenAIs and there are the Anthropics, but it didn't sit with me. It also didn't sit with me about the idea that our jobs are being taken. And what it does is it's relegated they've given us a perspective that we're not that important, that humanity and individualism of humans is kind of like not that important. Like, I can make an AI salesperson, and we can have an AI CEO, we can have an AI doctor, and that these things are self-learning. So I felt that there's an alternative, and I felt that it should start with humans. And we as individuals, like you Ben, you're an individual's person who has such deep knowledge in selling that you're helping large enterprises sell. And like, they have access to AI, they can make an AI Ben, but they're paying you because you have this X factor And so I felt like it should be humans first, and then the AI technology should support the human to be better, to get more leverage on your time, to be able to be your best self, but not to just replicate you and throw you out in the dustbin. So I see a world where there's hundreds of millions individual AIs on a platform, that these AIs are helping us, that we're sharing ourselves, that we can monetize ourselves. And I think that's going to open up a whole world of opportunity for us, and not us losing our jobs. It's just, I don't see that world. And I think what we're seeing today is there is an uncertainty for most people around the safety of AI, and and how it will help us be better and create better community and be better companies as technology companies. And I just think there needs to be an alternative. And I think that alternative is here. And we're going to see in the next few months this split between individual AIs and large language models and general purpose AIs.
Yeah, that's interesting. So your perspective is the individual AI and the concept that the AI can come along and just do what you do. It can't. And we've already seen the first instances of that, haven't we? Well, we saw that back in years ago in contact centers, didn't we? Where AI was oversold almost as being something that could automate out the need for full-time equivalents, which is what a human was referred to in a contact center, for example. And so we'd already been through that. And so URAI, how does it work then? What, like, if I'm going to view myself as having this deep specialist knowledge, but I'm all for AI making me much, much more effective and better and much better, brings more value to my customers and their end customers. How does your kind of tool set work at URAI?
Yeah, so I want to connect one dot, because you brought up something really important, since we came from the contact center, which is, you saw this too. As I was there when you too, where the internet came about and websites came about and digital engagement came about, and the concept around all of that. And it was true, which is that, look, we as a company are going to put all the information about our company and our products and our services and everything you really need to know on a website. And that should reduce volume of people coming and calling us. And what we found, and you've seen this too, is like contact center volume kept going up. We never saw contact center volume going down. And what that is, that humans by nature have a sense of trust when they're interacting with each other. So even though I can read it on a website and I may see it somewhere digitally, I have something, especially for high ticket items, banking, telco, healthcare, there's a need to just get that affirmation, to have this relationship. So what the basis of that understanding, what I wanted to build with URAI was a way to truly replicate you as a person. And you knew this too, like in contact center, there were these crazy great contact center reps who just loved talking to clients. And even in that world, I see is that if we could replicate that human, their passion, their individuality, how they reason, and then their voice, like truly build an AI voice that feels alive, that this could be, we could get humans in the game. So we did that. We started over a year ago, and we built a thing called the human life model, and we were able to understand and extract out what makes Ben Ben and what makes Rob Rob out of your personal stories. And from those personal life stories, we then can build your knowledge of your business. We have things in which we take your frameworks of how you think, and we apply that into your AI. So all of that is part of the URAI platform, which then allows you to give people access to yourself. Like, Ben, I can clone you now, and you could give your power of how to sell to millions of people. And you can't do that on a one-on-one basis. It's hard.
Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of people are thinking about, is how do they take all of the knowledge that's nuanced, because we were talking about this before. Claude or Grok or OpenAI is very, very good in helping salespeople with kind of research, and it seems like it's really good around kind of messaging and things like this, but it just lacks that nuance. and humanness. And so, and just to kind of put a bow on the contact center analogy, well, what actually goes on in a contact center with a human is they're doing tasks simultaneously. So they're doing messaging whilst they're on 3 or 4 different calls, and emails are coming in, and they're doing all of that simultaneously, making different decisions that are nuanced depending on culture and empathizing with a particular customer's scenario and making different decisions. And AI is no good at it. It just can't do that. So, but that said, making an AI that is trained on what makes you you is something that I think a lot of people are thinking about. And what was great about kind of products like OpenClaw coming along is all of a sudden OpenClaw's more proactive than an Anthropic, Claude, or a ChatGPT. It's more proactive, and it learns about you. And so that I think is of interest. Clearly, we've seen OpenClaw's just gone mad, hasn't it? It's that element of it that I think is really its ability to get to know you, which is really engaging about it. So what's kind of like the process, and what are some of the use cases that you're seeing over at URAI?
Sure. So the process is you come into the platform, and actually the platform will be out for general availability in about 4 to 6 weeks. So we now have our beta tester group that's on it. So the process is basically you come into the platform, you record your voice, which takes about 30 seconds, and we are able to understand like your tonality and how you accentuate in certain ways. You may be excited at one point or loving and caring when you talk. We understand that through your AI. We make an AI model of your voice. Second thing is we get your personal data sets and your professional data sets. You just upload them into the system. You can record them in. In my case, I record every day, and I'll talk about the process of training your AI. But you put that in, and then the marriage between that voice and your knowledge in what we call the human life model allows you to come alive. And so I'll give you an example. We do have a sales coach on the platform, and it's a very seemingly mundane use case, but instead of going to OpenAI or Claude and saying, write me an email because I want to pitch someone in the enterprise, let's call it a CTO, and I'm going to pitch them by email. There's a sense now that those emails seem generic, or the person who's reading that email, who you're pitching, may think, oh, they didn't write that. But I want to go to Ben's, in this case, we have someone else, a few sales coaches, where I want them to write the email. I want their AI to write the email for me, so I get their view on how they would pitch this use case for me. I've got a CTO in a financial services company, and here's the background. How would you write the email for me? So that's a very base level thing. The next level up is help me write the presentation. So you could create the presentation now, because we have MCP services that connect to Google Docs and all that. You can write a document. So your AI could write a document for me to help me present a sales pitch. Okay. We have doctors that do training. We have a doctor on the platform who trains around concussions, other doctors. Those doctors upload patient information, and that AI goes in and it looks at all the information and gives a perspective on that. So these AIs not only give advice, but they also can do action now. Okay, so they can drive action. We have accounting people on the platform who look at small companies and their finances and their profit and loss statements, and they can look at those and make assessments and make changes on how they're billing or how they're taking in money or so forth and so on. So these AIs are not only there to give advice, but they're there to take action on behalf of a client who's paying you. And that's the power of these things.
Yeah, so it's almost like whatever my particular problem challenge that day, I have a problem with my knee. So I'm going to go and consult with the AI of the best knee guy in the world.
That's correct.
And they've spent the time to, I guess it's kind of like a context window, isn't it? Just we're all getting used to dragging files and building.
You drag a file. You could drag a file of like your X-ray in your knee, and then their AI can make an assessment. So
Yeah, so and then you get the benefit of all of their experience that they've uploaded to their particular avatar. So it's again, it's not the whole answer, but it's going to a level beyond what I could get from a chat GPT. Even when I say to the chat GPT, answer me like the best knee doctor in the world,
well, this is the
it can never quite get there.
no, and if you go on to an individual level, like if I go into ChatGPT and say, give me an answer the way Ben would, or give me an answer the way Rob LoCascio, so I have a lot of written work like you. I've been out there. And so a lot of people, like I'm an entrepreneur, so people want entrepreneurial advice. If you go into ChatGPT and say, give me entrepreneurial advice like Rob LoCascio would, here's my situation, it BS's the whole thing. It's not me. It's not how I give an answer. But you would never, by the way, you never know that because you think, oh yeah, it's got all the knowledge of Rob. It's got all the knowledge of Ben if I'm asking a sales question. It does not. So we know that. So here's the big part is that like small business owners are becoming really aware of the fact that every time they put more and more of their data into ChatGPT, ChatGPT seemingly gets smarter about their business. ChatGPT, for instance, it is not self-intelligence. It robs your knowledge from you. You willingly may give your documents to them, and you unknowingly know that they may use that to train a model to be able to answer questions in your field of work. It's a very dangerous thing. And what these small business owners are starting to realize is like, I can't do this anymore. If I have an alternative, I can't, because it will take your practice over. If you're an accountant, it's going to take your practice. And so let's stop that. Let's have you take control of your data on our platform. You control all your data. You can delete it. You can own it. There's a delete button. They don't have a delete button. And so it's really important you delete and manage your data, and then you can share that and monetize it. And that's the whole power of the platform.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And everybody's concerned that these models are just how much more training data can they possibly be given? And the answer is, well, a huge amount. And it's never been kind of lost on me, Rob, that we say, oh, they're so powerful, aren't they? Isn't AI so powerful? Much better than a human. Well, it's like, yeah, but it's just been trained up on all of the human data for free, for years and years and years, and had it all crunched in. So originally, it just took all of the human intelligence, and that's what's given it its intelligence. And so protecting that and moving away from that dynamic seems sensible. And then you said, so just on staying on data, you said, well, okay, your data. So I presume if you log on to URAI, build yourself an account, say, hey, I'm a cardiologist and I want to train up my AI avatar. How do you protect that data that comes in onto your platform? How does it not leak out? Because presumably your platform has an API into a large language model at some level, does it?
So we have a model called the human life model that we created. And so this protects your data. And we do use large language models locally that don't share your data for training. The only place we use those is when you are allowing you to have world knowledge. For instance, when you're talking to your own AI. So it starts with you talking to your AI and using it like you would a ChatGPT, but it has all your context. So when you talk to it, you can say, I want to take a vacation with my family. And it understands the context of vacations you maybe took in the past. Anyway, you use it like that. We connected so that your AI has world knowledge. And then you can make your AI better. And that conversation gets saved into memory. So you can constantly, through chatting with it, it's like a Tamagotchi, you make it better. The second part is when you share it. When you share it, there is no world model on it. It is now only touching your data set. In all cases, your data never bleeds or gets leaked into a public model for training. It only stays within our confines of our platform, so you don't have to worry about that.
So it's almost like a manager could have their manager AI. So, that whole thing of, hey, with your employees saying, hey, can I just grab a minute of your time? And it's never a minute. It's almost like you could provide that to your team and say, hey, before you come to me, go ask the AI, and over time through that process that you just described, you're going to be able to feed more and more information into your AI avatar to make it
That's
more and more useful for the team. They're like, actually, I didn't need to speak to Rob. I was able to go get the information that I needed and go take the action there and then, rather than having this kind of delay on my action taking.
That's correct. Like we have Sonia, who you met. She's new here. She started about 2 months ago. And when she started, she actually was working on a marketing presentation about something on social media. And she had my AI look at it and review it before she even talked to me. And then she even asked it, like she showed me, she made a video. I was like, asked like, what do I need to do here to be like successful? And the AI told her about what's important in this company. And so, yeah, I see the enterprise version of it to me is really about you be able to get the power of the employee shared between people. And that's what I see today as the power. I use it as my primary AI now. For instance, I do I go on and I get a real-time feed of like what's going on in AI in the world. I'll say make a LinkedIn post. It like has my tone and voice. It then makes a LinkedIn post and then it goes ahead and posts it. So like I use it for things like that. I just use it to problem solve because it has my context. I also put personal information in it, but there's a private way in which even people who are engaging me can't get to. So like I have my blood work up in there. So I has all my blood work and it understands my health. So I'm really using it. We're using it as our primary eyes. And then from there, I share pieces of it so people can use it like Sonia. And then from there, I'll monetize it one day on the platform around, I think, around people wanting entrepreneurial advice so they can pay for it. So that's one part. By the way, the other thing I forgot to mention, you can do video. You can do we have these little thoughts that you do images and video, and people could ask you about like ideas. So you can abstract your data set into ideas and full video. So you can do an online webinar of you talking, explaining how to do sales training around a topic, and they can chat with you as your video is going on. So we allow multimodal in the platform.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, and I know you're in beta testing right now. I think that's going to be really interesting. Maybe we'll have you on and do a demo. When you're ready to go, there's going to be
I'll
some...
get you on. I think it's you doing it, though. I'll get you on and we'll set
me,
as an AI. I've got mine.
Yeah. Yeah, that was going to be my next question for you was, how do we move away from just the chat window being... Because I see that as the other limitation of the large language model is once you go beyond chat, its capabilities, producing a presentation, it's horrible. I know Claude's getting a lot better, and it's kind of like getting the integration with Claude Co-work, but it's nothing like I would destroy it any day on creating a presentation, right? So that's where but you can move beyond the chat window. You were just mentioning to video, and those are the ways of being able to talk to AI. I think that's a really cool thing to be able to do, because when you're talking, I find that's a much better kind of mode to ideate, which is one of the primary benefits I think people should be getting from their AI.
Yeah. And look, I invented that chat window for customer care, right? So I've been involved with chat since 1997.
Right.
I'm with you. I just want to get rid of that thing. And it's very limiting. And one of the big limitations we found is that if you just put yourself out there on a chat and made yourself an AI chat, people don't know what's behind you. So like it's a lot of cognitive load for somebody to say, "Hi, how are you doing, Ben?" Great. "Oh, I'm trying to sell someone, and can you help me with sales trade?" Great. After a couple of turns, you're like, "What do I ask this guy?" And yet there's a lot more going on in your data set. And so what we did is we gave you a way to create these things called thoughts. And you can create a thought, and a thought is a small abstraction of something in your data set. You put a visual with it, either a video or an image. And then people could read, there's some text, look at the image, they could flip it around and actually chat with you about that thought, just that thought. We can do these videos. And I think video is really, I mean, what's happening with the video models, and we have them in our platform, like Kling, these are Cdance. What they can do for you is they're getting so good where you can talk your way through a presentation. The part we're missing right now is a little bit like the actual visuals of the presentation being high quality, right? And not losing text and things. But my ability to talk and even have you interact with me is there. And so I think we're going to see a lot more. I also think there's going to be a huge renaissance. We're working with writers right now, very well-known writers, and even people who have been writing articles for like Vanity Fair and Esquire and who have great books out, but they never got option to make movies. And, you know, it's too expensive. There's going to be a renaissance on these people being able to create beautiful works of art, beautiful things that we can watch and engage with. And so I think there's going to be a whole world now of UGC content, but of very high quality, like movie quality, creative coming to market. And for you, Ben, too, it's like for all of us, like there's a movie in our head, there's a movie on how we sell, there's a movie on how we engage. We can create those movies. So that's where I see the power right now. Yeah, beyond chat, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think the whole market's got a long way to go on that. Even voice, like I cannot find a large language model that comes close to ChatGPT for speaking to it. You know, when you press the button and it's talking to you. Grok is pretty hopeless. Claude's pretty hopeless when you actually try and talk to it. And that for me is such an unlock. So although I've moved primarily away from ChatGPT,
Yeah.
if I'm like doing something or I'm driving or dog walks or whatever, and something comes into my mind that I just want to just do a little bit of, let me just talk about that. And that's the value that I'm on ChatGPT. And so if your product achieves that, and I'm very interested because we're both voice people, we've just lived horrible experiences on automated voice. But to be able to do that, I'd be very interested in how you guys are going to achieve that, and your view on what it's like to talk to different AIs.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was the one thing we really focused on. Like, imagery is one thing, but if you don't get the voice right, the images don't matter. So, like, we're very focused on the emotional aspects of voice, and we have real time, so you could talk to it like we're talking here with very low latency. It's not perfect, but we definitely can capture your emotional range. And then there's some new stuff we're working on. I saw the other day, which is like, it's wild. Like, I could ask you to sing like a song, and like you can, like, in your voice, sing out. Even if you're off tone, you can like sing songs and you could laugh. There's so much we're doing there because it's a foundational level of our platform. If I close my eyes and we're just talking and I don't see you like on a voice call, I still have an emotional sense of you. And it has to start with the voice. Yeah, that's really important. It's part of the human life model is how do we capture you as a person, your stories, and then relate that to how you speak.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. And I think the ability, I'm thinking sort of for an enterprise, is if you've got teams distributed across different time zones, different geographies, and then I can see that would be incredibly useful because you're always available if they come to your avatar. The other part of it I was thinking about as you were talking, which is the real world for a human in any sort of high pressure demanding job role, is then the kind of like emotional side of that. And today I'm not feeling great. And that would be, and like I always say, you know, to people, yeah, when do you feel the pressure of work? And I because my experience of that was I never felt the pressure of work when I was in work. I'd feel it outside of work.
Yes. Yeah.
At 4 o'clock in the bloody morning or whatever,
Exactly.
when your mind's coming up with all the scenarios of the terrible presentation or meeting, that never ends up happening and all that sort of thing, or the weekend. And I was thinking
Yes.
about something of something where someone could just say, let me check, Rob, let me check in with you. I'm worried. And so Rob can just say, hey, right, let's go through. Are you prepared? Did you do this? Did you do that? Yes, yes, yes. You've got this. You're trained for this moment. Don't worry, or step through this. I think there's that support piece.
Yes.
Might be really a cool use case, because I think that's integrated into high performance, is being able to get through those moments of self-doubt, for example.
Well, here's the interesting thing is we launched over a year ago, and we originally started as a legacy product. It was called Eternos. And basically people would come to us and because we marketed that you're going to die one day and you want to maintain yourself with your family. And so when we launched, we actually picked up a lot of people who weren't dying. Actually, everybody. It was just doctors and lawyers and accountants. It was all these writers. People were like, oh, I just want to replicate myself, but I'm alive. I'm not sick. I don't have any issues right now. Okay. The thing we found, though, which this is why I named the company URAI, is you are the best AI for yourself. And what we found is people started to talk to themselves and their AI they would have a personal relationship with because it's you, and it also has your context. Now, so I talk to myself, and it's really interesting. And it's only recently because we've done things on the versioning where it's at a place now, which is really interesting how it responds. And anyway, I don't know. It's definitely, we do a lot on the technical side, but I also think there's something on the emotional side of me interacting with myself that I feel a sense of trust. It doesn't feel like I'm talking to a ChatGPT or a Claude, which they're very powerful, but there's something about that I feel like this thing understands me because it constantly references things in my past. It'll say, oh, I was dealing with a situation with an employee, and it was like, I was explaining it. And it was like, it was referencing things in my life to talk about what was going on with this person. And it's very interesting like that, because I also feel a sense of trust that when I put the data in, it's mine and I can give it a lot. So there's something about you where if you wake up in the middle of the night talking to you and you being there for you is really what I see right now versus I originally, many years ago when I was at LivePerson, one of our goals was to be a better her than her. Remember the movie Her? That was, yeah.
I don't know it.
Okay. It was Joaquin Phoenix fell in love with an AI who's Scarlett Johansson's voice.
Oh, right. Okay.
Remember this one?
Well,
Yeah.
well, who wouldn't fall in love with that AI?
Right. And then he finds out she's talking to like millions of other guys. And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
cheated on. Anyway, that was like a North Star. Like there was an emotion to it. But then I realized you can't get there unless it is what we found is the interface to AI is you. You are the best AI. Not some Alexa or some other interface. You are the best, most trusted AI for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Well, look, I'm just keeping an eye on time as well. Sounds like a really interesting concept. I'm sure people listening, watching are all interested in what you've said, and of course you got about another 6 weeks of your beta testing going on. In the meantime, Rob, where can people find more information and maybe connect with yourself?
Yeah, you can go on the letter U, ARE.ai, and actually you can get on the wait list. There's about 3,500 people right now waiting to get in. But if you mentioned you came through this podcast, I'll like usher you to the front of the line.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And so, and then if you want to connect with me directly, I mean, you can get me at rob@urai or through LinkedIn. But I'm available. Like people email me all the time. By the way, if you're out there doing something in the enterprise and enterprise selling, or you're just an entrepreneur wanting to start something, like I'm here. It's a hard world to do things in. We all know that. That's why Ben has his podcast and does what he does. And so if I ever can help people, and just remember, it's like I tell especially entrepreneurs, like it's a lot of dark days. Even I built a big company
Yeah.
and now I'm a startup. It doesn't matter. You're on a mission, and when you're on a mission, it's hard sometimes, and you just stick with it and never quit. That's my whole thing. Like, never quit on a deal either. Like, I don't care how crappy the deal feels. Like, I've been surprised how many times we closed a deal that I knew we were going to lose, but we didn't lose it. I don't know, Ben, if you've ever had that thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
lose this deal, and then you get it, right?
Totally. And look, the reality is you do somehow you create your own luck in this world. And yeah, for sure, founding a business, out of all of the kind of careers changes I've had, founding my own business was the toughest.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes on these. You go on a journey, different paths open up in front of you. Which one do I take? And then you're so conscious of where you're spending your time as well, and so yeah, but yeah, you stay getting after it, and then accepting that you're gonna have to have a little bit of downtime sometimes as well. But which is why I pushed this out a week, Rob, because my wife and I were like, this is like literally our only 4 days. We're going to get a bit of downtime. So that's key too, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you could take a little bit of a mental break, and you said something which I'll put a word out there. I call it discernment. Like, you have to discern on an emotional side of like what's real and not, and your brain can kind of race and do things. That's why having your own AI could be quite powerful, because you're right. At 4 o'clock in the morning is when you wake up like, oh my God, it's everything pending. And the reality is, like, whatever's out there in the universe, whoever put you on this mission, like, they didn't put you on the mission to hurt you. They put you on the mission to grow. And you
Yeah,
grow through challenges, you grow through just working hard, you grow through working with people that you've never met before that show up and they push you. So you just got to be a little discerning about, nobody puts you on a path to fail.
yeah, for
Nobody
sure.
put you on this path to fail. It's just not true. And we've experienced failure. As you get older, you experience a lot of failure. But out of all of it, you weren't put on a path to fail. You were put on a path to grow and learn and be the person you're supposed to be. The worst thing you could do is not be on the path, is
Yeah,
quit. Right?
yeah,
Right. If you said, I'm not going to do this because I can't make money, or I'm not doing this because of all these things, and then when you have regret, it's going to catch up with you. So the best thing to do is, like, keep building and keep going, and never quit.
yeah, yeah. And you're there to serve and help people solve their problems, right? That's whether it's enterprise sales or the kind of work that I do now with one-on-one or groups of people. You're there to help them solve problems and serve them. So, Rob, look, that's a great, very positive note to end on there. So we'll wrap up there. Yeah, everybody, the notes, the contact links for Rob, URAI, will be in the show notes. And as he said, mentioned AI Outcomes podcast, and you go to the front, nearly to the front of the queue for his wait list. So get on the wait list. I'm sure a bunch of people will be interested in that who are listening or watching this. So, Rob, thanks again for coming on. Yeah, we'll have you back on in a couple of months. And
Yeah.
when you've just smoothed what was Elon saying the other day about his robot? Yeah, we just kind of need to smooth the edges a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I bet there's some edges to be smoothed there. But anyway, hopefully you won't have that
No.
no, too many challenges there. Rob, must be a exciting time, but tough time for the team. So
Look around.
yeah, I'm excited for you.
Okay. Thanks, Ben.
All right, thanks, Rob. See you on the next one. Bye bye.